Dear friends, we've just spoken about choices we make. The next step is to talk about avoiding the wrong path. Avoiding the wrong path is an important point of reflection for us this afternoon. What is that wrong path that we must avoid? And how would we be equipped to avoid the wrong path? Experience has shown us that in spite of our ability to make decisions and to make our choices, that things sometimes willy-nilly go bad. Things sometimes and ordinarily go contrary to our choices and our expectations. How would one then react and relate with the situation when such circumstances become the case, that wrong paths are unavoidable? Is it possible to believe that we cannot really totally and completely avoid the wrong path? A parent has a lot of trust on the child, trains and educates a child in the family, has wonderful prospects that in the future this child will become useful to the family and useful to himself. And as a result of this conviction, they do all they can, or within their powers, to educate and help this young guy to grow in ways of virtues. And they have expectations, and rightly too, that if this child grows up in this way or that way, he or she would be somebody great. He will come to prominence because the foundations have been laid. Surprisingly, and more often than not, we experience also people whose background had already prepared them for greatness, but yet they did not emerge great people. They could not emerge great people. They could not make the best choices for their lives, in spite of the foundations being laid for them. What could account for this? Is it possible to believe that wrong paths are unavoidable, that things must necessarily go bad, in spite of all our preparations and precautions? How then do we go on with that? Does it then serve any useful purpose to pay attention to details, to be prepared when we know that things will naturally go bad? Must things naturally go bad, really? Even when we put in all the possible measures in check, what is then that makes it imperative that things must go wrong? That the wrong path will be unavoidable? That we must willy-nilly make wrong choices? Maybe it's an attitude of mind, maybe it's a perception, but it's also important to know that things go wrong in spite of certain preparations, in spite of certain plans. There could be some little omissions or commissions somewhere. And that also underscores our frailty as human beings, that we are not perfect. And we may not be perfect here on earth, that only God is. All our efforts, the first effort is to realize that we are, before God, imperfect human beings. And we rely totally and completely on His grace, even to do the little we're able to do. And so to claim any form of authority, any form of perfection on our part is only to be arrogant. And so it is important we realize, as we prepare to make our choices, that there are possibility of making wrong choices. And that is why we rely on grace. Ask God to enable us make good choices and good decisions. And when we make good decisions and good choices, then we've played our part. We then set into motion that which we can, relying on His grace to lead us through. When we have done all within our powers, then we have done our best. Then we look up to Him who is Grand Master, has all the powers, all the energy, all the blessings, all the graces to do with us what He wills. In our job is to do the best we are able to do within the context. A lot of people feel so frustrated when things go wrong at certain occasions. We don't need to get so frustrated. If, for example, you are washing a glass and it falls from your hand and breaks, it's unfortunate, but it has happened. You never intended to break the glasses. It has happened. You never wanted to do that deliberately, but in the course of the washing, it slipped off your hand and fell on the ground, and it broke. Regrettable, though it has happened. Why must then somebody hit the head over, over a wall that a glass had broken? It's unfortunate, it's regrettable, but it remains at that moment irreparable. Therefore, it requires also some discipline to accept those happenings in our lives that we have no control over. We must hand them over to a higher being, God, who shapes our destinies, who knows all things and can put all things in their perspectives. That is why it's God. But within our own limitations, we will only be assured that we have put in our best. And so whether there will be mistakes in our lives or not, whether there will be failures, even when we have made decisions, we must contend with this. It must be important also for us in next discussions to talk about the ability to contain failures, to live with failures when we have done our best. Some people think of committing suicide, killing, taking their lives in their hands because they have adjudged themselves as having failed, having put in so much effort, so much energy. It is regrettable. It is quite unnerving and unacceptable. Yeah, when that happens. But if one has done one's best, I think there must be also some level of energy to be reserved to contend with when we have failed, when we have made all our best efforts. The courage should begin. Because our God is a God of second chance. There could be other opportunities and other possibilities. So that one attempt and not succeeding at that one attempt is not enough to say that we will not dare again. It requires the courage of heart to dare and dare further, to strain and strain further, because it is possible that we will succeed on a second attempt, because God gives us always an opportunity of a second attempt. And so, friends, today it is important for us to know that all that required of us is to do our best. We shall have done our best, we leave the rest to God and to society. Shalom.